Well, you can't say I didn't warn you. E-bikes are now banned from Toronto. Well, banned from certain high-rise apartment buildings and rental buildings in Toronto. Not only e-bikes, but e-scooters, e them hoverboard things, anything that's powered by a lithium battery and needs to be charged up. Transportation is banned, except for the biggest fire that you could have, electric cars. Doesn't say anything about electric cars yet, but we did talk about this. I don't think many people watched the video, but I warned about electric vehicles being very, very dangerous to charge in these areas. A look at Luton. Luton had the biggest fire in a multi-story parking lot right at the airport. Now, the fire was started by a diesel Land Rover, but the actual destruction of the garage was caused by the second row where the EV cars were being kept. That's what we think. That's what I've been reading about. That's the issue. Once these EVs go up, once these batteries start catching fire, there's no turning back. You can't put it out. You can't just use water to put these fires out. They are self-fueling. They create their own oxygen. You can put these batteries underwater and they'll still burn. Let's have a listen to a few people on the radio talking about this very issue and really why electric vehicles at the moment, with the technology we have, could cause a lot of problems.
When they do explode, they can cause very fast-spreading fires, which you said are, like you mentioned, are very difficult to put out. They can shoot cells in multiple directions, and that can cause multiple fires at once.
They can shoot cells? You mean like... Not heard that before. Who's told you that?
The fire department of New York has said they can shoot cells as far as 60 feet. So they can shoot multiple cells at once, so you can get a number of fires coming up at the same time from one battery failure.
So do you have data showing exactly how often these fires are starting?
You know, I do not have the stats on that. I think that would have to come from the New York Fire Department. But what I can tell you is, like you mentioned, there's been hundreds of fires. Since 2021 alone, there have been over 24 fatalities. Tragically, some of those involving children. And unfortunately, I think unless we see a federal safety standard come into play here, we are going to keep seeing incidents.
Federal safety standards do need to be implemented with these EV bikes and these scooters. But we do have them already on cars, and cars are catching fire. So I'm not sure if it's going to actually, well, I'm pretty sure it isn't going to stop fires. So where else do we go from here? Let's have a listen to some calls from some callers who talks about fires. Now, this first caller is actually from a guy who's dealt with electric bikes and electric vehicles. So let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
I've dealt with a lot of e-scooters and e-bikes, things like that, and plus put out fires in hybrid cars or fully out electrical cars. Again, it's all the chemicals that are in them. They burn hotter. We actually end up having to put more more water on a car fire than we would a house fire. And the car fire, it just keeps going, because as soon as you get it out, the next battery cell, which you had mentioned in your thing, the next one sorts out and it starts all over again.
Now, the thing I'm thinking about with the electric cars is electric cars, people are being forced into electric cars and away from gas-powered cars for the environment. But how many electric cars does it take to burn before you start thinking otherwise? And how many electric cars, how much destruction on the environment does it take to build these electric cars and create the batteries? This is something that really needs discussion, and nobody wants to talk about it. They're just saying electric cars. People who love electric cars are the best thing ever. People who hate electric cars are horrible. We need something different, because if you start filling up these apartment buildings and underground parking lots and multi-story parking lots with electric vehicles and ships, remember the ships that have been catching fire and being destroyed, the more that are being built, the more issues we're going to get. And just to add on to that, insurance costs. I was watching a YouTuber called the Mac Master. He said his insurance on his Porsche Kayhan or Kaitan electric has gone from £600 in England.
I was quoted £3,142.
You're telling me that's not because of electric fires? Till next time.